In this episode, we'll be checking out our very favourite campsite of the holiday. We'll be taking a visit to Sossusvlei, the most popular tourist attraction in Namibia, and we'll be hanging out with ground squirrels and watching the sunset in Solitaire. Hope you'll join us on our adventures. Well, this has got to be, so far, our very favourite campsite here in Namibia. It's super private, super peaceful, and just check out that magnificent view. You even have a bit of a view in the bathroom and toilet. Mind you, if you can see the wildlife out there, they can see you. There are just 4 campsites here in the campgrounds, but each has its own private bathroom and shower, and they all look more or less the same. They all have pretty incredible view. But I will give you one word of warning if you're thinking about coming here. Make sure that you have an off-road vehicle. I wouldn't be trying to do that driveway in a sedan. It's a 25-kilometre driveway. Once you pull off the C27, you've got 25 kilometres of, well, we'll show you, I guess. It's not all bad. As you can see, there are some sections where you can build up some speed, but it never really lasts that long. It's not that this driveway requires you to drive in four-wheel drive, but rather that the high clearance of an off-road vehicle is an advantage. It gets pretty rough at times. We had to stop quite a few times to open and close these gates. It's a working farm, so you'll also encounter sheep and cows and horses along the way. It's really tricky to show you just how rough the road was in places because both of the cameras that I'm using here are really well stabilized. Without stabilization, this footage would be completely unwatchable. But don't think we're complaining. The drive to and from Landsberg Farm was really good fun. And we are right now in Deadvlei. It's pretty extraordinary. It's not exactly the easiest place to get to. For starters, you have to stay at the Sesriem Campsite if you want to get here early in the morning, because it's only inside the national park that the gates open early. Once the gates have opened, everybody races as fast as they can to get to Sossusvlei as early as possible before the sun rises, and then you find yourself at a four-wheel drive track. So take some air out of the tyres, race through and hope that you don't get bogged.
Hey, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Oh God. There's also a bit of a walk on the dunes before you get here, but it's all marked, so not too hard to find. God, it's a much further walk than I thought it was going to be. I will never understand even wanting to climb up those dunes. It just seems like a lot of work. I guess it's probably a case of the view of the dunes is better than the view from the dunes. And eventually you get here. Beautiful. We ran into a spot of trouble yesterday coming into Sesriem. Just as we arrived, we discovered that the clips on our camper were broken, which meant that there was no way to secure the the tent itself. So we had to find a kind stranger who helped repair it for us. He did a pretty good job too, especially given that he didn't really have the right parts. He just made them himself. Very impressive. The Sesriem Campsite is not too bad. Let's face it, it's really the only option you've got if you want to make it in here early. So shared bathrooms and toilets, but there is a restaurant on site and quite a nice bar. And the campsites are quite large, so you've got a bit of room to spread out at least. All of the campsites seem to have electricity and water as well, so it's kind of handy. With the rich colours, interesting shapes, and the contrast of light and shadow here in the morning, I was spoiled for choice where photography was concerned. I was pretty happy with how some of these photos turned out. Leaving Sossusvlei now and heading towards Swakopmund, we decided to stop the night in the tiny little town of Solitaire. It's not really a town even, more of a roadhouse I guess, but it's a popular spot to grab a bite along the way, and it turns out they have a really nice campsite there. One of the best reasons to stop here are the ground squirrels, super friendly and clearly used to interacting with people. Our site, where we parked for the night, was said to have the best sunset view. They weren't kidding. It was beautiful. So beautiful, in fact, that it attracted all of the other campers to come stand in front of us to watch the view. Oh well, it was still a beautiful spot.